She's a certified confidence coach and public speaking expert. Karen Donaldson specializes in the art of communication and has devoted her career to helping people find and define their most effective voice. Karen, thank you for joining us. Welcome to the TAM Fam.
Tamron, thanks so much for having me.
You know, this entire week we're talking about, you know, the voice and finding love. It's a part of this series, Help Me, Tamron. And we said to people, what do you want help with? What do you want Tamron to help me with? And a lot of folks said, I want that confidence. I need help walking into a room and owning it. Stephen A. and Sarah both are using their voice in this effective way, but it took time. It took the journey to get there.
It's so true. Like, here's the reality, Tamron. When it comes to sharing a voice, there's a couple of reasons why people fear speaking up. And sometimes it can feel risky. Sometimes, depending on the situation, it can also feel threatening. But in truth, people often simply fear judgment. The fear of saying the wrong thing, the fear of looking stupid, the fear of upsetting someone. And in truth, they're focused on the outcome. They're focused on how other people will perceive them. And honestly, we have zero control over how people perceive us and how people will react based on whatever we say. So the truth of the matter is this: start to shift what you focus on. Because if the only thing we can control is ourselves, Tamron, why are we putting our effort, our time into an area where we have 0% control? So start to shift it back to, I have control of me. And I believe that what I have to say is important.
Wow.
And that's where it starts.
Well, you say that a lot of people have a hard time with it because they think of confidence as a feeling instead of a behavior. What does that mean?
Oh, I love that you said that. So here's the reality. My favorite topic. Now, we have been groomed to think from a young age and in conversation that confidence is an emotion. And confidence is not an emotion. It's a behavior and attitude. So if you have been struggling and saying, I can't feel confident in this area, in XYZ area, I'll tell you why. It's because it's not possible.
Oh.
Confidence is a behavior and an attitude. I can talk more about that.
So, okay, we don't say, I feel confident. Are we supposed to say, I am confident? Like, how do we shift?
Okay, here's how you shift. I want everyone to just think about this for a moment. Now, if confidence is an attitude and a behavior, it means it's a choice. I want everyone here to think about, including yourself, a time where you might have been feeling nervous. However, you knew you had to show up. So think of a job interview. Someone plays any type of sport, has to do, we're talking about Sarah and doing plays and things like that and writing plays. Times you had to show up, and on the inside, you were feeling nervous, but you showed up in a way that said, okay, I can do this. I've got this. Karen, you know what you're talking about. Those are the type of messages that you need to start saying to yourself, because we listen to what we tell ourselves. And often we're groomed by society to look for this feeling of confidence and that little self-talk that we have in our heads saying you're not good enough, you look stupid. We have to take ownership of that there. So once you start to think about it as an attitude and a behavior, it's time to choose it. Okay, I'm going to do this.
But I go back to, again, what you hit on at the beginning, which is we all get caught up on how it's going to be received. You know, we all know that society tells you to be confident, and then you're confident, and then they say, you're cocky. And if you're a woman, they say worse. So, I mean, like, how do you really escape that idea of worrying about what or how it's going to be received, even if your intention is just to be confident, to show up and be heard?
There comes a time when we have to decide to release and stop trusting in other people or trusting that people will show up in another way or in a way that's supportive, and trust ourselves. If you think about how we go through life, we trust that a lot of people will do this and that, and I'm hoping and praying and, I'm wishing. How about we shift that emphasis, because we put 80% over there, and start to trust ourselves and know that what I have to say may or may not be liked, but it's mine. I'm entitled to it. And I believe that I can share that at any given moment and do it.
Karen, how do you become a certified confident? Because it looks like you were born with great confidence. But how did you train for this?
A really good question. My story, in short, was that I was a young mom, a young high school mom, where I lost all my friends when I found out. And I'm from Toronto, Canada, and I had received a full scholarship to the US and had to decline it. And at that point, up until that point, I really liked myself and I had a lot of friends. And I lost my friends when they found out I was pregnant. And for weeks, I was barely coming to school. And there was one day, Tamron, where I was walking home and I saw myself in the bus shelter and I said to myself, Karen, you're allowing the words and actions of other people to define you. You define you. Before you're pregnant, you are the same Karen you are right now. You're not diseased, you're not contagious. And that's where it started. And I made that decision to always walk through life. And that's what I teach my kids as well. That fact that do not allow, or the opinions and thoughts of other people do not define you unless you allow them to.
Wow.
You define you. So it started there and training after that.
Wow. You know, listen, I need you with me every day. I just need Karen walking with me through the world. You talk about we need to stop the feeling of wanting to ask for permission all the time, and that we look for people to give us permission to use our voice.
Indeed. I think we can all think of an occasion or recall an occasion where instead of stating what we wanted to say, like share your opinion, your idea, challenging someone else's opinion, we do the whole, could I talk, please, could I? And as we walk in the world, we don't need to ask for permission. We need to stop asking for permission to say that what we have to say is important. And what you have to say is important because it's yours. It has nothing to do with your pay grade, what you drive, where you live, where you don't live. It's your self-belief and that belief in, you know what, I'm enough. I may have a part-time job. I may be laid off. I may have a helicopter pad on top of my office, but my words, my voice is worthy to be heard.
Right.
So that's where it truly starts from as well.
You talk about another trait. That is so true, so true. You talk about if we want to be heard, we also have to be willing to listen.
Yes, so important. Quite often when we speak, we want people to totally be open and receive what we have to say. But in truth, we have to be able to do the same thing. And there's a difference between hearing and listening. Hearing is something that we do innately as humans. When it comes to actively listening, this is what it means. It means as a person is speaking to you, you are not preempting, you are not creating your response to come back at them. You're openly receiving what they're saying so you can pause and respond. And quite often, that's why conversations don't go as planned. Everyone's ready with a response.
Yeah.
I hear the first two words that come out of your mouth and I'm ready to pounce. So a part of a healthy conversation, no matter the relationship, whether it's social, it's intimate, or it's work, it's professional, you have to be an active listener as well as being willing to communicate. So it's a two-way street.
Whew, you just lit it up. I mean, I think everything you said, people can apply to their daily lives. And I especially love what you said, Karen. We assign value to people's, well, he's a CEO or she's a multimillionaire, so their voice matters more. And I say this all the time when I give speeches. My grandfather had a second-grade education. I would take his advice and his wisdom and his words over a Harvard grad any day. No diss to Harvard. Because we mistakenly assign the voice and the importance of the voice based too much on the monetary and the titles on business cards. And you've reminded all of us of that.
Definitely. My friends, if I'm leaving you with parting words, it's honestly and seriously this. Believe that what you have to say is important, because a belief is simply a thought that we keep thinking. Be conscious of what you're saying to yourself, because it matters each and every time.
Well, thank you so much, Karen Donaldson, joining us from Canada, and I can't wait to eventually have you in studio. And congratulations on a beautiful journey and sharing with all of us what you've learned along the way. Thank you so much.